Hey, this is just a quick note to let you know that Team Champs 2025 has been sponsored by City Strength. You're probably already familiar with City Strength. They're Australia's exclusive retailer for SBD, but they also sell a broader range of strength and powerlifting related equipment. So, a big thanks to City Strength for sponsoring our competition this year. And I hope you enjoy this episode. G'day, everyone. I'm here with Aiden. Aiden is one of the coaches who is submitting a team for this year's Team Champs 2025. And Aiden's actually competing for the first time in this comp. And so he's a little bit of a different kind of case as many of the other coaches are. So, and this is actually the first time I'm meeting Aiden as well. I think we met literally 4 minutes ago once we got on the call.
That's it.
But we skipped a lot of the niceties because we're going to do them on the recording. So it's a pleasure to meet you, mate. I'm looking forward to the chat.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. Really keen.
Okay, so a lot of people who would be listening to these kinds of things and watching these would know a lot of the other coaches, they know a lot of the other lifters, but a lot of people won't know who you are, obviously, because you've never competed, and I didn't know who you were. So do you want to just introduce yourself a little bit, just first, who are you and what you're doing?
Yeah. So my name's Aidan. I'm an exercise and sports student at Deakin University. I major in strength and conditioning. I have done some powerlifting coaching over the course of this year, starting around March. I got to take an athlete to Stronghold in Ballarat, and I got to handle my first comp there. I personally want to compete, and so with the help of one of my other clients, Josh, we said, let's do team champs. We figured that as a team, it'd be great to kind of experience our first comp as a group. So I will be coaching. So I'll be competing. I'll be coaching two of the other people that are competing, and the last competitor is actually an Olympic weightlifter, one of Josh's friends, who also wanted to give powerlifting a shot. At the end of the day, yeah, we're just keen to experience this all for the first time, and
Awesome.
yeah.
Cool. So your team are called the Benchwarmers. I like that as a name. And like you said to me before we actually hit record, unlike a lot of the other teams who are like coaching groups, a coach or a gym with a bunch of members, I suppose. You're essentially just a group of mates, right? Who just banded together and said, let's put together, submit a team of 4.
Yep. I don't coach enough people. I haven't really advertised. I haven't gone, I want to expand my business just yet. I'm doing full-time uni, so I've never thought I would just want to put all my eggs in one basket for a second. But at the end of the day, I do want to do a competition. I do want to handle more people. I do want to gain as much experience as possible. So it was Josh that really wanted to do this comp, and I was like, yep, that's a great idea. And so we banded some people together and we thought this was probably the best opportunity we could get. There's a lot less pressure, I think, doing it as a team, especially for the first time, and that's what really stood out for us.
I like absolutely love it, mate. Yeah, like this is just fantastic. I'm really, really happy to have a team like you guys in here because that's what this whole comp is about for me. It's about, like the community aspect and the social aspect and all this kind of stuff. And there'll be a lot of people out there who, not a lot of people out there, but a lot of people I've known, or a lot of people are essentially like too scared to compete for the first time. And so the fact that you guys are jumping straight into the deep end into like what is, I'm sure, probably a bit more serious of a comp than you might have realized you'd sign up for.
Yep, that happened. I was like, but I was excited for this podcast to kind of explain that, like, hey, I know this is very, very serious, but I'm just glad to be given the opportunity to even compete in the first place as a team.
No, and I'm glad you didn't get scared off. Like, I would have hated for you to think, oh no, this is too serious for us. Let's pull out and then let's do something a little bit more casual. Because, I mean, in some sense, the Team Champs is a pretty big comp and I want it to be. But at the same time, it can be very casual as well. Like, we have the challenges bracket. And one of the challenges I've had is a lot of clubs almost take it too seriously. And a lot of clubs feel pressure to put together their best team. So imagine a gym with 50, 60, 80 members. And if their best 4 aren't available, they've communicated with me like, oh, I don't know if we're going to be able to put together a team. And I'm like, what do you mean you're not going to be able to put together a team? You have a gym of 100 members. Like, what's going on? Yeah, but this person's injured and that person's unavailable. And my brain's just like, we'll go down the list. But then I guess for a lot of clubs, they're putting so much pressure on themselves to have the best team. So I love that there's just a group of guys that are just a bunch of mates that have never done comps before. You're a bit more enthusiastic. Obviously, you're doing sports science. One of the guys is a weightlifter. Is like, oh, I'll have a go. Why not? And you guys have formed a team. Like, I just think that is actually so good.
And like to add to that, I've struggled myself with I went through a surgery, had some complications leading into this comp, and there was a lot of time I couldn't train. And just before that surgery, I was on holiday. I had a lot of weeks off. one of the competitors, Aston, he spent all of last year with a back injury. He basically going to multiple physios, chiros, just couldn't get this fixed up. And he came to me, and like I kind of felt a bit honored in a sense for him to be someone I used to know as being one of the strongest guys before I even started powerlifting or strength training in general. I would go to this gym and just see this guy and just like, oh my god, he's huge! Like he's lifting so much weight. Um, for him to come back to me and say, I'd like you to coach me. So we only get 10 weeks together to kind of move into a comp, and there's an element of rehab to him as well. Um, so I didn't feel prepared. He didn't feel prepared. We're an Ollie lifter. Like he's still doing Ollie lifting while he's training for this comp, and we're all just like, you know what, it's more about the experience. And I guess that's
Absolutely.
where the name Benchwarmers come from, because we hope we're not the first to come out on bench, but if we are, the bench will be warm.
I love that. That was going to be one of my next questions. Was what was the inspiration for the name?
Yeah.
No, I think that's really good. Um, a lot of the pressure people put us is self-imposed. You know, like self-imposed pressure, and I think you're doing a great job of like stripping that away from yourself. Whereabouts do you guys train? You said you're studying at Deakin. Are these mates of yours? Do you guys train together in a physical space, or what?
We don't train together. We're kind of all a bit apart. So I train at Hustler, and three of us go. So two of the guys, Josh and Steve, they both completed exercise science at Deakin. I'm a year below. I just started just a little bit later than they both did. So that's how they know each other. And I've known Aston for a few years now. We both started training at Club Lime at Forest Hill. And obviously he was injured for that year, so I haven't seen him in a really long time. I know Josh and Aston both train out of Training Day in Scoresby.
Mm-hmm.
And I've made one or two now visits over to Training Day Scoresby to train with them and, you know, see how everyone's doing, because I get the honor of handling them as well. Like that's another bit of pressure I have on myself, that I've only handled one mate, and I'm going to be handling quite a lot of guys in this team
Yep,
comp. So
and trying to compete
um,
at the same time.
I'm trying to compete at the same time. So I put a lot of pressure on myself. And
Okay, cool. So, I mean, you've alluded to these guys already, but let's quickly just go through a bit of an introduction. So, there's
oh
yourself,
yeah,
Aiden Meehan. You're lifting in the 83 class. Am I not wrong?
93.
93 class.
Yep,
Okay. So, there's yourself in the 93s,
yep.
and you're essentially the nominated head coach. And you've been training for a while. That's your first comp. You've mentioned Aston. So, who's Aston?
Aston will compete in the 105s.
Okay.
How do I sort of introduce him? Obviously, he had the injury last year. He's rehabbed. He's finally got to a point where he's able to lift again. So we're just going through uh, just reintroducing squatting, benching patterns, deadlift patterns. He's trying sumo now, and he's kind of using this comp as a way to say, like, my strength is back. I'm able to lift again. I'm able to do what I enjoy. Josh is the guy that I've been coaching with for the last few months. Before this, he couldn't hit a 200 dead. He finally got his 200 deadlift and had a major back injury. So coming out of that back injury, he allowed me to coach him. And I mean, all these guys have allowed me to do it as a bit of an experiment where I'm learning, I'm getting a lot of experience by coaching them. So my coaching at times may be trying new things that doesn't work, but they've allowed me to do that and kind of learn how they lift, get them stronger. And so Josh has been with me the longest, looking really, really good. I'm really enjoying learning and bringing someone into a comp.
And what weight class is Josh in?
Josh is in the 83s,
Okay.
and I believe Steve is in the 83s. I'd have to double confirm, or 93s. I'll have to confirm that with him. But Steve is getting coached
I've got
from
Steven
his
at the
Ollie
83s right here. So
83s. Yep. Cheers. He's going to he's getting coached by his Olympic weightlifting coach at the moment.
cool.
So he wants to continue
And
doing
so Steve's the
snatches.
Olympic weightlifter.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Who's having a go?
He's having a go. I mean, that was Josh's friend, and he was like, "Yep, we need that fourth person to make a team." And I'm just so glad the pressure of, I guess, more of team champs didn't get to him. It got to me. I never felt confident to do a comp yet, but I guess as you were alluding to, not having experience in a comp versus just experiencing a comp for the first time, I think I would much rather experience a comp for the first time now than put up my best total ever.
Absolutely.
And that's what really put me off doing a comp for a long time, because I myself have gone through injuries and I haven't been lifting as long as a lot of guys. So I kind of want to use first experience and then back to the drawing board, maybe come back next year with maybe my own coaching brand, my own coaching team, instead of just a group of guys, and we pulled together a name and just allowed me to coach two of them.
This could be the start of something big, man. I love it. That's awesome. And I think
I really do hope so.
and like you said, you just got to get involved, got to get started. I think a lot of people procrastinate their first comp because of these things you're talking about, a little bit of fear and doubt and uncertainty and whatnot. But at some point, you just got to get into the deep end. And, I often tell people, like, my first comp, I benched 75, 75 kgs. That was like literally what I ended the day with. So a lot of these guys are afraid because they don't feel strong enough, they don't feel ready and stuff. But like, I mean, that first comp of mine was 12 years ago. So
Yeah, wow.
this is the start of like a long and healthy career for yourself as a lifter, but also as a coach. Okay, now you said to me before we started that you might even have some questions, and I'd be curious to hear what those questions might be, or like what your, where's your mindset at? Because like some of the questions I've got for you are things a bit about your background, which you've kind of already gone into, and I'd be curious to hear about what your expectations are. Having never done a comp, like what do you expect? You've obviously been to one, like you've coached at one before, but like what are your expectations? What's your vision? And then I can kind of like maybe kind of help clarify some things about that are uncertain, and then it'll be really fun to watch this back, in 3 months or 6 months time, once it's all done and settled, and think about what you thought it was going to be like and what you ended up experiencing. Yeah, did you have anything off the top of your head now?
I guess how does a comp differ as a team versus as you do it solo? Like, how does the competition work in terms of, like, what's the word, putting in lift numbers and then competing as a team, like who goes out first and the weight
Yep.
classes and
Excellent question.
all of
No,
that?
no, great question. So the actual running of the comp is the same as normal. It's the same as what you would have seen in Ballarat. Lifters are divided by categories, like weight classes. The lifting order is still determined by like the weight on the bar, like a rising bar. So, for example, if you're opening your squat at 150 and someone else is opening their squat at 160, you'd go before them. So the actual format is the exact same as a normal comp. The only real difference is, well, there's two main differences. The only main difference is in how the competition is scored. And so that you'll see that there's a scoring system. Have you seen how the scoring system works? It's on a rules document.
Yeah, I had a look over the scoring system, but obviously I'm more than happy to ask. Can you go over it again, maybe simplify it? How does that really work?
Yeah, exactly. Um, Everyone competes in their own weight class. So, like, for example, you're competing in the 93 category. So you compete in the 93 category like you would at a normal comp. And depending on where you place in that category, you score points. So if you win the whole class, you score 6 points. If you come second, you score 4 points. If you come third, you score 3. If you come fourth, you score 2. If you finish fifth, you score 1. And anything below that, you score 1. So basically, the placings go 6, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And the team score is your accumulated score across all your lifters. So let's say you come third, one of the other guys comes second, another one comes fourth, another one comes fourth as well. Then the accumulated score is like 3 plus 4 plus 1, 1 is 4, 3, 9, right? So your team score is 9. And then maybe another team score is 11 and they would beat you, for example. And so that's the first way that the difference is. It's like everything else runs exactly the same as normal. It's just the scoring is different. And the second thing that's really different, which is unique, is that the weight class is actually split. This is going to be harder to explain, but the teams are split basically into like the challengers bracket and a premier bracket, right? Which you probably have seen. So typically in a big meet, like let's say you have like a nationals or even an international event, let's say you have like heaps of lifters in one class. Like let's say you have like 12 men in the 93 category. You want all 12 men to be in the same group. Like you want them all to lifting literally together. So that way they're able to compete against each other directly. And let's say even if in a multi-day event, like 3 days nationals or a 4-day international comp, you'd put all the 93s in the same group. You'd put all the 83s in the same group. You'd put all the 72 women in the same group. 72 women doesn't even exist anymore, 76 women. Whereas at Team Champs, because we've got this divide of challengers and premier bracket, some people in your category won't lift with you. So for example, if you're in the 93 category, all the 93s will lift together that are in the challengers bracket on day one. But then there'll be some more 93s that will lift on day 2, which is the premier bracket, because they're in those teams. So for example, after day 1, you might be first, right? Because there might only be 3 93s. So you might have finished first, but then there might be a couple of 93s yet to lift. They'd lift the next day. And so traditionally, you don't do that in a normal comp like nationals or internationals, because that's giving the people that lift later an advantage. Like then they can see your total. You total 600, and the guy next just total 602 and beats you. So normally you don't do that at nationals and internationals because it's unfair. But that's the very reason why we do it at this comp, is to bias, to give those people advantages, because we want people to, like, there should be some advantage lifting on day two. And I mean, the very nature of it is the better lifters are going to be on day two anyway, so it's not that much of an advantage. And I mean, what we saw last year actually was that the winning team lifted on day one. They were from the challenger bracket. They won the whole thing. And so there are weird things like that. But to answer your question and to summarize my response, the whole competition runs the same as normal. And you guys will all be on day one. So it's a 2-day event, obviously, Saturday, Sunday, but you'll all be scheduled to lift on Saturday. And once Saturday is over, you'll, although the schedule hasn't been finalized, you're all lifting on day one. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. The closer to running like normal, the more comfortable I'm going to feel. So
Yes, of
hearing
course.
that answer is
No.
amazing. And I guess that goes out to anyone listening as well. Like if you're looking to do your first comp and team champs is like, oh, but it's a team of 4, so it's going to run differently. Like hearing that now, it doesn't. Just the day.
Yeah. It's just a normal powerlifting comp. It's not like you have to do things in a sequence or anything like this. No. It's just a normal powerlifting competition. Good one. Well, I want to hear about your expectations then. Like, what are you expecting the competition to be like? I mean, like I said, you've coached at one. Have you been to others? Like, have you spectated at some other events?
I've spectated at a novice powerlifting comp, but the Stronghold was probably the best experience for me. So the guy that I've been allowed to coach under with Fit Big Strong, just a company from Queensland, he's coached me for a while, and
Okay,
so
cool.
he had a few lifters go to Stronghold, and one of the lifters that I got to bring, we handled together. So he watched me and he gave me the pointers. He was like, "You want to really have these warm ups, sort of like this far out." At at the end of the day, like I'm I'm feeling pretty confident in handling. What I'm not confident in is handling for multiple people and creating a plan for myself. So I really want to sit down with my lifters and get an idea of what numbers people are going to try and put up, especially first, what their warm ups are like. And I really want to try and create a plan for everyone and then run with the plan with a further plan for if things go wrong, here's what I do for each lifter. That's going to be my goal a week out.
Love that. I mean, like, it's just about being prepared, right, and having some ideas in mind of how you're going to handle those situations. I mean, lifting and competing at the same time. I mean, lifting and coaching at the same time can be challenging because it can be distracting. But fortunately, you won't have a lot. Like, there's only 4 of you, and odds are you'll be split up. Like, odds are the 83 will be in the morning, and then most likely the other 3 of you will be in the afternoon. So ironically, you'll get to coach in the morning. That'll be a good warm up. Just one lifter. You're like, okay, cool. I'm coaching one guy. Bit of a warm up. This is how it's running. So when it gets to your turn to compete, you'll know what's going on, and then the guy that competed in the morning, he can probably help you out in the afternoon. He can kind of like help oversee things and make sure things aren't going too
Mm.
badly. So
I also hope to teach my athletes, like whenever I make a decision as I coach, I try and explain why I make a decision to them. It helps reinforce to me why I do things and also to them because there is an element of experimentation and learning from my end when I try something new with their blocks or their programs. I like to reinforce why I make these changes to them so that they also understand. I guess I have an expectation of myself to kind of teach them how I think this meet will run for them. And so that even they can, I guess, figure out for themselves if something does go wrong, they can make a suggestion to me. Here's what I think I need to do on the day, and I can just go yes. So I also want to like have an element of education there for
awesome,
them
man.
and take a bit off my shoulders.
That's great. It's very
And I just
professional.
want people to have the best experience they possibly can, and so I hope that does that.
I very much want that also. That's really good. What are you looking forward to the most? Was there something in particular that you think is going to be really good, or is there something that in particular you're looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to smashing some goals. I'm looking forward really mostly to actually handling more so than competing. I myself would love to get a 500 kilo total. It would be the first comp, and so I aim for a 500 kilo total. It's not the biggest, I know, but if I had taken that mindset into deciding to do this comp, I wouldn't be here right now. Nor would I have 2 athletes that I get to take into a comp, gain that experience, and I guess, as you said, the start of something big. I'm looking forward to handling Josh the most. He's got a goal of a 600 kilo total in the 83s, and I'm like, hell yeah, man, let's do it. So I've already created a plan for him and his blocks and how I want his lifts to sort of end up in that taper week. That's really what I'm looking forward to the most. If I can get my own goal, so like awesome. That comes second.
Awesome, man. And what are your goals? So you mentioned yourself 500 kilo total, Josh 600 kilo total potentially. Do you have
Hmm.
any other goals that are maybe like a little bit more subjective or less concrete, I suppose, like that aren't specifically lifting related? Are there things that you're really wanting to kind of try to foster or try to experience?
Um, a smooth meet. I'd love it to go well. I would love to gain as much experience as possible when it comes to how I handle warm ups, how I handle psychologically, like my athletes, like, all right, you sit there, you just get in your zone, like comes off a lift, okay, one cue, get back in your zone. Um, I guess the less concrete goals is to be in the know, to have everything planned, and to have it run as smoothly as possible. So I come out of that meet, go, all the lifts went wrong, but I came out of that and it went so smoothly out behind the platform that I'm happy with that. Yeah, I really hope Team Champs fosters that. I want to meet as many people as I can in the community as well. I guess that's another goal is to continuously chat. I do that at Hustler. I meet a lot of coaches at Hustler, and I really hope to meet other coaches here that have taken their teams and gone like, "Hey, have you done this before? How did you find it? Like, how'd you do it in the past?" And really meet and get to know people as a final goal, really.
Well, I really I think that's a really good perspective to try to meet other people and try to make some relationships and connections and learn from other people. Um, I mean, one thing I will say is some of the coaches that are going to be at this comp are fantastic coaches. Some of the lifters are unbelievable lifters. Australian champion level lifters, national champion level lifters, international level lifters, and you're basically going to be in a room surrounded by this talent on Saturday, and even more so on Sunday if you come back and watch. And you're basically going to have like what good lifting and good coaching should look like demonstrated in front of you. And so
Absolutely.
obviously Saturday you'll have your hands full and you'll be, busy and distracted. A little bit of advice from my end is come back on the Sunday and really absorb it, and really watch what other people are doing and try to like take on the lessons you can kind of learn there. Because I mean, especially comps that are like pretty good level are like such good learning experiences because you're surrounded by people that know what they're doing, and you can learn a lot by observation.
Yeah, and I'm keen for that. I have goals to make a business through coaching, to
Awesome.
come out of exercise science at Deakin and go, well, I don't really know what I want to do still. I'll end up where I end up. I'll apply for job applications, but at the end of the day, I have created a coaching business and I still get to do what I really enjoy. Um, so hopefully, even like as a goal next year, maybe I come back with a brand like a logo and a name for a coaching business, and I go, well, here's my athletes. Like I'm not competing, or I am competing, whatever happens, but I bring in a brand that hopefully is fostered by this comp and meeting new people and experiencing how other coaches and athletes, their mentality and how they run themselves, and yeah, essentially
I'd love
act
for
at
that,
the
man.
meet.
I'd love for that too, for you to come back next year and
Yeah.
have your own little business, man. That's great. That's really good. I mean, I don't want to sound like an old man, but like I said, I did my first comp in 2013, and I told a 4:30, and I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. Just like it sounds like the shoes. I think you're in a lot better position than I was when I first started because I really had no idea what I was doing. You've at least got some idea. Um, but I often look back and I can't believe the kind of career that it's taken me on. And like I said, it could be the very start of that. So wishing you all the best with those things and your coaching career. Who knows? Again, who knows where it could end up?
Who knows?
Was
But
there anything
I'm
else you want
glad
to
it can
ask
be
me?
fostered.
Sorry, go on.
I'm glad it can be fostered just by the event itself.
For sure. Was there any other questions that you had before? Because I kind of interrupted you and you asked me about how the format of the competition runs.
No, I think that was a very, very broad question. I kind of the idea behind the format of how a competition runs. And if it's anything like the other meets, are there longer rest times between the lifts because there's more people, or is it very much like consistent?
Yeah, it's very much the same. So the rest time between sets between attempts is just based on how many lifters are in the group. I mean, yeah, it'll be a typical like 10 lifters in a group, 12 lifters in a group. We're not a huge space, so we can't fit too many people per group. Um, so it ends up being about 10 or 12 lifters per group, and because I think that limits 14 or 15 in a group. So I mean, isn't 14 lifters looping around? but I think we'll have more like 10 or 12. So you'll have pretty typical kind of rest periods and stuff. Man, it's going to be really good. I think you're going to learn a lot. I think you'll have a good experience. And more than anything, I think I'm just personally really excited about the idea of, um, like a group of friends, like I said, just turning up, having a go. You're going to make some mistakes. It's going to be a bit clunky. There's going to be a few things, like no matter how much you try and prepare, it's like the first time you're doing anything. So,
Mm.
it'll be a little bit janky at times. But what I will say actually is a lot of those coaches back there are going to be very experienced, like I said. And if you just ask for a hand, and I can kind of put you in, I can kind of like put you in touch with people in there and say like, hey, just keep an eye on this guy because he's not 100% sure about timing and stuff. You'll get taken care of pretty well.
I appreciate that. I can tell you the nerves before this call were there, and my nerves every week. If the RP of my back offs is a little bit too high, I think, oh, I'm going to bomb out at Team Champs and it's going to suck. So the nerves do get to me. I think my lifters are in good headspaces though, so
Good one.
that's reassured me.
I mean, the nerves are part of it, right? Like that's why you're doing it. Because if you could just train and just do mock meets, putting yourself under the pressure is kind of what makes it more serious, right? A bit more formalized, a bit more.
Yeah.
The nerves are part of the fun.
I was gonna do a mock meet with Josh. Actually, he was really wanting to do this comp, and I was like, oh, we could do a mock meet on a Saturday, and no, he convinced me. And I'm actually very thankful for that. I feel very welcomed by the community in a sense, even just through this call as well. And even then, like just giving the opportunity to other people to experience the comp for the first time as well. So Aston has done a comp before. He's dealt with a lot of injury. He loves lifting, so I'm really hoping to give him a good total and a good experience for this comp as well. Hopefully, he can make a bit more of a career and a bit more of a journey himself through that. Yeah, I'm keen.
Yeah, and I mean, one of my goals as a meet director is to make sure you guys as lifters have the best experience you can. So you guys can count on me to put on the best event, best competition that you guys will go to, and hopefully one to remember. So, man, I appreciate you taking the time out and to chat with me. And like I said, it's been a pleasure getting to know you and to meet you.
Thanks, man. I'll give you a massive review on how it goes on my end to let you know how welcome I feel.
Cool, man. I'm looking forward to it. So,
I look
best of
forward to
luck
it
with
as
all
well.
the rest of your training, and we'll be in touch. Cheers.
Thank you. Thanks so much.